The Janjaweed is a Sudanese Arab militia group which operates in Sudan and eastern Chad with a particular concentration around Darfur. Although it has been linked to recruiting fighters from other tribes, its main source of recruits is from one main tribe, the Abala, camel herders, people, and more specifically the Northern Razigat people, McGregor 2017. The origin of the word Janjaweed is unclear, although it has been translated into English as devils on horseback. They have been in constant conflict with the black Sudanese population within Sudan, and this has led to conflicts and raiding being carried out on farms and villages. Despite the origins of the group being traced back to the 1980s, they became largely active in 2003 when the war in Darfur began. This conflict was started by the Sudan Liberation Movement, SLM, and the Justice and Equality Movement, JEM, who accused the government in Darfur, which was dominated by Sudanese Arabs, of favoring the Sudanese Arab population over the non-Arab black population, BBC News 2010. Originally used to suppress an uprising in 1986, they were then subsequently outfitted with military equipment and became a paramilitary organization which was at the center of the Darfuri government's counterinsurgency strategy, Human Rights Watch 2004. Sudanese Arabs make up 70% of the population of Sudan. However, prior to the independence of South Sudan in 2011, Sudanese Arabs made up only 40% of the population, CIA 2022. Sudanese Arabs are among the 600 ethnic groups who live there, and there are discriminatory elements within Arab Sudanese society that pejoratively portray black people. Sudan is dominated by a light-skinned, Arabic-speaking elite, while black Africans often face oppression and marginalization. History and foundations. Created in 1988, the Janjaweed supported Libyan armed forces in combat in eastern Chad. When the Libyan army under Gaddafi was defeated, they retreated to Darfur and were hosted by Sheikh Musa Hilal, Paul Green 2022, who is currently believed to be the coordinator of the group and the leader accountable for the crimes committed by them, Reeves 2008. Throughout the 1990s, the Janjaweed were armed partisans who were tolerated by the Central Sudanese government. When the war in Darfur began in 2003, the Sudanese military and government responded by utilizing the Janjaweed in their aforementioned anti-insurgency role. With equipment given to them by the central government, the Janjaweed turned the tide in the battle for Darfur and routed the opposing forces of the SLM and the JEM. This then led to what has been commonly labeled as ethnic cleansing of the Fur, Masalit, and Zaghawa people, Ray 2019. In October of 2007, the United States government labeled the killings in Darfur, which had been perpetrated by the Janjaweed, to be genocide, since an estimated 200,000 to 400,000 civilians had died, Kessler and Lynch 2004. The Janjaweed militias, however, were disbanded in 2013 and folded under the command of the Sudanese government and subsequently rebranded as the Rapid Support Forces, Loeb 2015. Objectives and ideology. The group subscribes to a nominally pan-Arabist vision which it has adhered to since its foundation. This has led to allegations of ethnic cleansing and Arab supremacist elements within the group's ideology. These Arab supremacist notions stem from the domination of the forces and Central Sudanese government by Arabs from various tribes in the north of the country. When two non-Arab groups, SLM and JEM, began an uprising against the central government in 2003, the government utilized the Janjaweed group against them, which only cemented the group's notorious reputation as a terror organization, Terumwa 2019. Military and political abilities. The military abilities of this group are extensive and are closely linked to the military of the Sudanese government, notably as both are commonly seen working alongside one another. This includes the National Armed Forces of Sudan providing air and ground support in advance of RSF/Janjaweed attacks, Itifa 2019. Their military equipment is also extensive and includes numerous small arms as well as RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades. Images of the group also frequently display large amounts of heavy weaponry, such as heavy machine guns, HMGs, and also anti-aircraft weaponry. Due to the ingrained nature of the RSF leadership within the wider Sudanese government, this has led to their political capabilities becoming extensive. The leader of the RSF Lt Gen Mohammed Hamdan Hemedi Dagalo is Sudan's vice president and therefore wields significant influence in the nation. He has been accused by observers of using the RSF to inflame tensions and commit violent acts in the nation to further his political ambitions. Hashim 2022. Approach to resistance. The Janjaweed militias were extremely violent and have been accused of committing crimes against humanity. Many of its top leaders have been accused of committing genocidal acts and the ICC have charged several of the group's leaders. One of these is the suspected former leader of the Janjaweed militia who has been charged with over 31 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity, BBC News 2022. The group has also been accused of committing rapes and murders, as well as ethnic cleansing campaigns across the Darfur area and Sudan as a whole. The New Arab 2015. International relations and potential alliances. Due to the nature of the organization as being a local militia group present only in the Sudan region, the Janjaweed have little to no international alliances or relations with other groups. Due to the restructuring of the organization in August of 2013, the group became known as the Rapid Support Forces, and this, alongside their new government support, has enabled them to operate outside of the country. RSF forces have been fighting in several war zones in Africa and the Middle East, such as in the Libyan Civil War and the Yemeni Civil War. During its participation in the Libyan Civil War, the RSF has reportedly sent around 1,000 to 4,000 militiamen who are to protect Libyan oil institutions under the control of General Khalifa Haftar for him to concentrate on attacking Tripoli, Dabanga 2019. Additionally, RSF/Janjaweed participation in the Yemeni civil war is extensive as they support pro-Houthi forces. The numbers of militiamen are suspected to number around 40,000. Sudanese forces in Yemen have been accused of committing war crimes and human rights violations as they have been similarly accused of in Sudan. Here is 2017. However, the number of Sudanese pro-Houthi RSF militiamen has been reduced by 10,000, who have subsequently returned to Sudan. Sudan Tribune 2011. The Janjaweed started to become much more aggressive in 2003, after two non-Arab groups, the Sudan Liberation Army and the Justice and Equality Movement, took up arms against the Sudanese government, alleging mistreatment by the Arab regime in Khartoum. In response to the uprising, the Janjaweed militias began pillaging towns and villages inhabited by members of the African tribes from which the rebel armies draw their strength, the Zagawa, Masalit, and Fur tribes. This conflict is entirely separate from the 22-year-old civil war that has pitted the Muslim government against Christian and animist rebels in the country's southern region. The Janjaweed, who inhabit western Sudan, have nothing to do with that war. Both victims and international observers allege that the Janjaweed are no longer the scrappy militias of yore, but rather well-equipped fighting forces that enjoy the overt assistance of the Sudanese government. In testimony before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in June 2004, a field researcher with Human Rights Watch stated that the Sudanese army was openly recruiting horse-owning Arab men, promising them a gun and a monthly salary of $116 in exchange for joining a Janjaweed cohort. The International Crisis Group says that money that gets paid to the Janjaweed comes directly from booty captured in raids on villages, giving them an additional incentive to act with extreme brutality. There are numerous reports from international aid workers maintaining that Janjaweed raids are preceded by aerial bombardments by the Sudanese Air Force, that Janjaweed commanders are living in government garrison towns, and that Janjaweed militiamen wear combat fatigues identical to those of the regular army. Those who've interviewed refugees from Darfur also allege that Janjaweed commanders are using racism as a rallying point, encouraging their charges to rape the dark-skinned villagers they encounter during their raids. The Sudanese government has strongly denied offering any support to the Janjaweed. Thank you for watching this video.